Now I can see it.
Okay. All right, so here we are live. Should we get started, Joanna?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, guys. We are Jo&Rad, and today we'll be talking about what are the questions that you need to ask your client on the first call. And just to give you a little broad outline of how we'll structure a talk today, first we'll talk a little bit about the purpose of this call, why, what makes a first call important even. Second, we'll talk about just giving an overview of how you need to think, or probably the mindset shift that you need to have in terms of understanding the client better. That's the second thing that we'll talk about. Then we'll deep dive into specific questions that you can ask, and that will include asking questions from the creative perspective in terms of what you need to do, and from the business perspective. So that's like the broad categories, or the broad segments that you can expect on today's chat.
Cool. So are we ready to also set the clock?
Yeah, and there is Nikhil who's joined us. Hello, Nikhil. We'll get to the comments and questions after a chat. So just hold on to your questions if you have any, because Joanna will be keeping a watch on the watch. What am I saying? Yeah. And we should get started.
Cool. So here we go, 20 minutes for us. And I think you can actually drop the questions, just we will answer them in 20 minutes, right? So that we can get into the... So here we go, 20 minutes. And let's start.
Let's get started. So, Joanna, the first thing is, do you want to just give an outline of why do you think a first call is important? What's the purpose of this first call?
I think the purpose of the call should be simply checking out if this project is right for you, as well if it's a right fit for your clients. As simple as that. I think it shouldn't be even a sales call. It should be just an honest conversation about what your client needs and what can you offer, and see if you can kind of help with it. Does it make sense?
It does. And can we go a little deeper that why do we need to check that, or why do we need to have this honest conversation?
From the creative side, I think you also want to categorize the leads that come your way to see if they fit in your minimum level of engagement, which is the price, kind of, how you call it, like the price, the brackets in which you are, I don't know how to say it, but basically you want to make sure that the client has the budget that will allow you to do the work in simple words. You also want to see if the timeline is possible and if it's simply a good fit also for the portfolio you have right now and your positioning as well. So like, is this the project that you can even take, having in mind what's your positioning on the market? Does it make sense?
It does. I would just want to touch up a little more on the overview, the purpose of this call. You want to filter clients for two reasons specifically. First is that as you grow, honestly, you might not have the right skill sets to do the work for every client that comes your way. You'll gradually realize that maybe they're just not a fit for you. So in the initial stage, when we're starting out as freelancers, maybe at that time, what happens is whatever comes our way, we change ourselves to adapt to the project. So be it a change in the skill set, be it, let's say you're doing animation and you get a branding project, you'll still do it. There's no sort of filtration, right? But as you grow, you need to start specializing, because that's what will give you an identity. So that makes it important to filter clients. And second is that your working system might not also match with every client. And because you have some rules to follow, you don't want to break out of that rules if they're not really comfortable for the client. So this is a broad purpose. This is the reason why you need to start filtering your clients. Does that make sense?
I think you said it much better. So in one sentence, it's just a date. you need to check, are you a good fit for them? Are they a good fit for you? So I think the first mindset shift here is that you are not trying to sell or convince anyone to get your service. You just tell them what you got and you see if it's a good match, right?
Totally. And that's like, can we also say that the mindset shift that we're having here is that you learn to be more transparent?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think
So
so.
it's right. So it's just about being confident in what you do. You have to be clear in your mind that this is what I do. These are the kind of things that I can offer. This is the cost that I come with. This is the timeline that I come with. All those sort of things have to be clear in your head. And you should be able to just have a conversation and understand if those things are working for the other person who's come to ask for your services. And you have to be really honest and open about it, because that's what builds trust. And that is, again, the purpose of this call, actually. That because if, let's say, there's some friction and you don't clarify it here and you go forward, then it's going to be a mess, basically. So yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I
And
think it makes sense.
is there any other mindset shift do you think should happen to handle this first call better?
I think maybe what's important that before you make a list of the questions that we're going to even show in a bit is that you actually write down those things, right? How much do I charge? What services I can provide? Where I'm able to like bend in, like maybe I could do that. I could hire external team to do this and this part. This is how much I will charge, and this is how much time it's going to take me. Because if you have clarity on this part, then you will be confident and it will be very easy for you to have conversation. Because I remember the most scary part, like the client would ask me, okay, how much it would cost? And I'll be like, I don't know, maybe you can tell me. And, I would get all like red and everything. And obviously that was just setting me for failure or being taken advantage of. So even though you need to know a couple of sales questions and the way to talk to your client, I think you as individual should have a clarity what you want before you get to the call and any other questions. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does, absolutely. And before we start getting to the questions, I would also want to point out that, uh, don't try to learn these questions by heart and just answer them like a questionnaire in front of your clients, because that's also pretty odd. You can just take these as like guidelines, and deep within you have to understand the goal. That's why, I'm repeating that the purpose is just to understand whether you guys are good fit for each other. So don't try to learn these questions by heart, because that'll make you feel pretty weird in front of your clients. You have to also listen very carefully what the client wants, and maybe the direction of your questions will be a little different. Maybe the order needs to change. So that changes you have to do when you're dealing with your client. You cannot stick to it like a structure, but just let these guide you and give you ideas of how you can get them to open up and how you can be more transparent. Does that make sense?
I think so. And it should be a conversation, but I maybe the ratio of how much you speak versus how much the client speaks should be like 70 to 30 or 80 to 20. Like they should just talk. Of
Hmm.
course, your job is to ask the right questions so you kind of direct them to give you the answers that you need. But at the same time, I think it's important that you don't just present your brand and company and what you can do. You kind of respond to what they need. So, like, keep your presentations away and just listen, listen, listen. And they should answer all the questions that you have. That's it, I think, from my side.
I think so. And I think with that, we can start getting to the questions, right?
You've got 10
Yes,
minutes left.
that's a good time. So, Joanna, you can get started with probably the technical creative questions that we should ask a client on the first call.
Maybe what would be first, the business questions or the technical questions?
Mm, well, to be honest, for me, it really depends a little bit on the client also, how they kind of lead the conversation. Because let's say, I think both of us generally begin with a very normal thing, right? That, hey, how did you find us? Or what brings you to us? Or something like that. And when the clients start talking, that gives a little hint of what should be first. So I don't think I can really specify what is the first question. What do you think?
That makes sense. You need to kind of trust the process. And
I think so.
Nikhil is actually asking if we can do a role play. Would that be easier to kind of go through these questions in a role play format?
I'm okay with that. If you think that will
I'm up
help,
for
we
it.
can do it that way.
Sure. Do you want to be the
Same here.
annoying designer or annoying client? Both can be difficult to challenge. Your pick.
Ah,
You. The time is running.
okay. I can maybe you can be the difficult client,
Okay, I love it.
because I think I give up after a while.
Okay, let me try. So, hi Radhika. I'm coming to you because I'm looking for branding for my flower shop, and
Mhm.
can you help me?
Yeah, hi, Joanna. Thank you for reaching out. So, firstly, I would just want to know how did you find me, or what are you exactly looking for?
I just did some Google research, and after my friend also confirmed that they know you, they recommended you. So I also have a confirmation that you are somebody I would like to work with. So that's how I found you. It was a combination of recommendation and a Google search. And yeah, and
Okay,
I'm looking for the branding.
okay, that makes me feel a little famous that you got to hear about me from two sources. So, no, sorry. So, about the branding part, when you say branding, what exactly are you looking for?
For a logo and the website.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly is your business about? Like, it's a flower shop, is it online, offline? Can you go tell me a little more about it?
It's a local shop in our neighborhood. It's a physical shop. We also deliver some flowers online, but the main business model is physical shop where people can just come and pick up some flowers for birthdays, and traditional shop, nothing special.
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, you will need a logo for sure, as you mentioned, and your website is likely to be an e-commerce website.
Maybe in the future, perhaps I would
Is
like to
that
start
correct?
with a logo, because maybe I should add that we already have some logo, but it's something my cousin did. And now
Mm-hmm.
as we are growing, I think it's time to up level. So I would like something better now.
Okay, so um, then can I know a little bit about what's your specific goal from this branding? Like you just mentioned that you want to make the logo better or the branding better. What does that mean to you?
I would like it to look better on the display of the shop, because our
Mm-hmm.
current logo is not visible. Nobody remembers it. Nobody knows what our company name even is. And I would like people also to see something different in our shop, because now there is another two shops on the same street and we have a very high competition.
Okay, so if we can say that your logo should ideally stand out because you're in a space wherein there are multiple flower shops. And if we create a logo which, especially on the exteriors of your shop, makes it stand out, and also your shop looks a little different. So, will that be like a good branding done from our end?
If you think that looking different is enough, then yeah, I think so. Will it? I would like it to attract more people to my shop, so they choose me over the other shop.
Okay, so that's another thing that I'm hearing, that it has to be different and we have to attract people to your shop using that logo, right?
Yes,
So that means it's much more than visuals for us. We have to think and solve this problem for you and not just design the visual. Is that correct?
correct. My current problem would be
So this
perhaps
also,
it's not enough clients coming in.
So if I understand it correctly, that this is not just about visuals, it's actually going to impact your business. So it seems to me that this is quite critical for you.
Yes, it's really important because right now we don't have enough income to, and our shop is exactly the same as the competing one. So the service is there, we have the product.
So, since it's so critical for your business, can I ask you if you're ready to really invest in this? Because I would like to be clear that, we are not like a cheap freelancer or just a small agency who would just give you a lot of options to pick from. We would like to kind of think around it, what we call as strategy. There is brand strategy, which is basically giving a direction and logical thinking to whatever we design for you, and all this will come at a cost. So do you think that you're ready for that sort of investment?
I'm not sure. Can you guarantee any results? Like, why should I pay you for the thinking? I'm confused. Can you explain what the strategy is about and how can I benefit from it? I just wanted the logo, to
So
be honest, when I came in, and it seems to me that something new is coming up now.
yeah, because I think our conversation went into the direction that your logo actually needs to make you look different, and it has to attract clients for you. So we will not be able to just justify solving that problem by throwing visuals at you. It seems to me that unless we understand what your business is about and what others are doing, unless we make that sort of comparison, I would want to further study, like, where is your shop placed and what are the things around it, and how is probably even your window display. So all this goes a little deeper for me, and that is what technically we call branding, but I don't want to confuse you with technical things. To be able to justify it, I don't think it's just creation of a logo. It's a little deeper.
Okay, so what would the package include? What would you recommend that what kind of package do I need to buy from you? Like,
So
is it a logo, and what else would I need? Meaning, like, do you just do some
so
research, or what is it really?
So we will definitely come to the end deliverables, which is the logo, and also we discussed about the e-commerce website. So these two things are something that obviously I feel you would be needing. But we've also discussed a little bit about your shop standing out. So it tells me that maybe you'll need things like a small hoarding or a billboard, or we can even think about maybe there is some sort of artwork required on the window display. So that's a second level thing. But I would recommend that we start with really trying to go deep into the problem, because I think it's all connected to that. And that for us is means brand strategy. So that is something that I would definitely want to include in what I offer to you. And to be honest, if you ask me to just remove it, I will not be able to even justify what I do for you. So that is
So
something
I
which is
cannot get just
almost.
the visuals from you. If I want to go forward, I will need to have the strategy included.
Yeah, because you've kind of told me very clearly that this has a much deeper impact and it's going to affect your business. So I'll be very honest, I will not be able to help you unless I've gone deep into understanding what it really means to you. So if you just ask me to do the logo, I don't think I'll be helping you. And in that case, I don't think we'll be a good fit for each other. I want to be super honest with you.
And if I was to proceed with it, how much would it cost me?
Do you have any sort of number in mind?
$1,000, maybe 2,000.
Um, okay, so honestly, let me give you a fair number. We don't work below a number of like at least an 8K. So that's like a bare minimum investment. So if we really justify things for your business, would you be open to investing in that much?
That's a little bit out of my budget. I mean, 2,000 to 8,000 is a huge, huge gap. And to be honest, the previous designer charged us just $500, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously is not working. And that's why I'm here now. But at the same time, I'm not sure if I can justify the gap.
Okay, so what is the kind of business goal that you're looking at? Do you have any sort of numbers in mind?
Can we think of the, clients that it could bring up, or any specific deliverables that would be tied to that number?
No, I'm asking in terms of, we'll just pause this discussion. I'm just asking you in terms of your own business goals. Is there, like, let's say, a monthly target that you have in mind, or when you say that it did not work for you and you want to attract more clients? So I'm sure you want to increase the numbers also, right? So
Yeah.
where are you right now and where do you want to go?
Currently, my shop earns around 5K and I would like to double it to 10K. I heard that's what the guys in the neighborhood are able to do. So, yeah, that's what I would like to bring up.
Okay, so I am unable to justify increase in revenue of 5K if with your investment of 2K. That's not how business works, right? So if you were open to investing, let's say around 8 to 10K in branding, and if it really solves your business problem, then in 2 months you would recover it. And that sounds like a valid investment to me. And if really that's your goal, then it further just makes me more confident that I cannot help you with a budget of 2K. Wow.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. So, I guess, can I see any proposal with, breakdown or tour? What would be included in the 8K, let's say, for a start?
Absolutely. I'll be more than happy to give you a proposal, but can you also give me just some idea of what is the timeline that you're expecting? By when do you want to get your shop up and running?
Could we do it in 2 months?
Um, I would want to take time of at least the 4 months, if at all we want to get an e-commerce website up and running, because from the time we start and from the day you give us a confirmation until the time we start, we would also want to get our team together and prepare for things. So I don't want to promise you false things, and 4 months would be a buffer, with a time with a good buffer. So is that something that would be okay with you?
Yes, I trust you. I think it sounds fair.
Okay. And the last question is that, yes, if we get a proposal to you, is there anything specific that you want to see in the proposal?
Perhaps I would like to see some ideas on what deliverables would you suggest in case if you feel like the e-commerce site is not what is crucial to solving the problem I'm having. I would love to know your thoughts and ideas on what else would you propose after the strategy workshop. So I guess I would like to see in the proposal a few ideas.
All right. So that's something that I'll surely put in the proposal. But before I get there, I really believe in not wasting your or my time. So I want to ask you, is there anything that bothers you? Is there anything that you want to ask me? And what would be your deciding factor? Because I don't want to make a proposal, let's say, just now that we realize that we're not a good fit for each other. So is there anything that bothers you right now?
I think only the timeline. I would love to know if you could do it faster,
Mm-hmm.
because even if I decide to invest 8K, waiting 4 months makes me lose that 10K I could have earlier on, if that makes sense. So if we could make the timeline a bit tighter, I would be really happy to proceed.
Okay, that sounds pretty fair. So, yes, we would plan the timelines at our end and try and fit the best possible, timeline for you. But I would also keep in mind that I wouldn't be unrealistic. So I would be really fair in whenever I suggest you the timelines. And yeah, with that, probably you can expect me to send a proposal in a week's time. Will that be fine for you?
Yes, sure. Looking forward to it.
Okay. All right, Hannah.
So we are out of time. Did we ask all the essential questions? I think so. You asked me. I'm not sure.
I think so.
Guys, was it satisfying? Did you hear the answers? Does it make sense? Was I a bad client? Was Radhika a bad salesperson? What do you think?
Yes, please. And what did you guys really get out of it? Did it confuse you? Joanna, you can also tell me if I missed out on anything, please.
No, I think you really avoided the topic of deliverables. So maybe only one thing, as a client, I would be a bit like, I wanted to see some solutions maybe also, which obviously you cannot give without the strategy. So I think your answer actually to the fact that you have to see first what's the problem and how to solve it first made sense actually. So maybe I will just bring it up earlier in the conversation that yeah, we will have to do the strategy first, and we might not even end up doing an e-commerce site because we need to see first which deliverables would solve that problem, just to like kind of get away of that topic as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you felt that as a client, then maybe yes, we can have that in the conversation. And I would want to just talk about, what was going on in my mind as I was asking questions to you. So first was definitely that my goal was to understand whether you were a client who is even ready to take what we offer, because this is something that we do. We don't get into just visuals, we get into the thinking part, we get into strategy, creative direction. So if a client has come in who is not willing to do that and who wants to just make, wants us to make options and show them and they'll do their pick. So I generally would just make it super clear, and if it's not working, it's out of the table. So that was one thing that I was trying to get into. I was trying to understand how important it is for the client, because if they're just window shopping, then again, I know that I don't want to invest too much time into it. So this was on my mind. And then obviously understanding things like the budgets and the timelines, which are like super realistic things, because if no matter how aligned you are on your goals, if this is not working, it's not working.
Yes.
So these are the kind of things that I was trying to draw. And for me, I purposely try to keep a little away from the deliverables, because if a client is super stuck on the deliverables part, that means at the end it will be a pain. They will always wait for the deliverable and you will not be able to involve them in the bigger thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was like the overall process.
Yeah, it makes sense. And they will not even execute the strategy, right? This is also a risk that if they don't really believe in the strategy, even if they originally agreed for it, they might not want to implement it, which is essential for you to deliver what you kind of promised. Because it's not enough that you kind of implement it with the deliverables and with the research and everything, because the client also has to do the work on their side. So I think that's also important that they understand what the strategy is, what they are getting into, and the steps they have to take after it, right?
I think so. It makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I think at this stage we can really ask everybody who has any questions or comments, because this is really both of us talking. We would want to hear from you. Did we just scare you off, or did we help you guys?
Yeah. And perhaps until we have some questions, if the client is resentful to answer the questions about money or strategy, they might not want to say no because they kind of feel it's not nice. So it's kind of important to get it out as soon as you can. Like, they might not be ready for the type of work you have. So the sooner you can bring the budget into the conversation, the easier it will be for everyone.
I think so. And in fact, it's very tough to talk about money in the initial stage. Like when I was starting out, I was like, uh, uh, like I would end the talk without talking money, even if I've started working. So please get over this habit. This is like, forget this entire call also. If there's one thing that you should really get into the habit of, is to talk money as soon as you can. So yes, and you have to be comfortable. You can't be like, can't say the numbers. Please don't do that. You have to be super confident. If a client has no budget in mind, You have to know in your head what are the numbers that you deal with and just say it.
Yeah, it's because you would be wasting also their time, right? It's not only your time, and it's for them in the end. So if the money is not right, it's you're doing them a favor. It's like I hate those expensive shops. I think it was Chris though actually analogy. I'm not sure where I took the idea from, but he was saying basically like imagine those expensive shops where which they don't have the prices. It really annoys me personally. Like, I want to see how much it costs. Can I get it or not? But it probably means also I cannot if the prices are not there. So um, every kind of customer needs to get the price sooner or later. So the sooner you can get it out, the easier for you and for the client.
I think so. It makes sense. And Joanna, at this stage, do you also want to mention about the two books that have really helped both of us
Sure.
in this process? So, yeah, so first one is The Socratic Selling. I'm sorry, I don't remember the writer's name. Do you?
We have to link it. We will link it in the
Yeah.
below. We have the Socratic Selling and we have the Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they really help you out with the vocabulary and the way you could ask the questions, right?
I think so. And for me personally, I went over these two books specifically, like 2, 3 times. I
Yes.
made notes of those. And after that, I let go of the notes because then it just has to stay in your head. So the more you just get into the habit of it, and it'll be very weird in the initial calls. You will even forget the questions and you will even feel like as if you're like a robot talking to a person. But don't be scared. That's a natural thing everybody goes through. But yes, these two books have been a great help.
Agreed. It's a good start.
It is.
So I think I actually prepared a list of technical questions, but it seems to me that you might not even get to asking the technical questions on the first call, right? Because that would be like kind of prescribing to solutions without knowing the problem, right? So perhaps you will have some general questions about the amount, sizes, formats, but and maybe licensing that they need. But I think it's not as important as actually learning what the problem really is for the client, what's the value for them of solving that problem, and if you are the right fit to actually solve it with them.
I think so. That's super true. Like, um, in the, I mean, even if we make those list of questions in the practical sense, maybe they don't hold true. So sometimes it's really subjective. Like in this case, when you were doing the role play, I could clearly find that sweet spot in terms of trying to get you towards the business side and not get to the deliverables. Let's say if you were a client who said that I want somebody who's really good at
I lost Radhika. Let me check who's up. Okay, I think we are out. Radhika is. Okay, so she will be back in a minute, I guess. And if she's not, let us know if you have any questions about what to talk about on the first client call. And if you don't, that's it. We're going to wrap it up, I suppose. So thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next week. And don't forget to subscribe and set up the notifications to be here live with us so that we can ask questions and have a candid conversation um, about anything related to design, the business, and oh, yeah, no worries. I was trying to make up to cover up. So I was just saying that we're going to wrap it up. Actually, there was no more questions, but if you want to finish your thought.
No, I'm sorry. This about these technical glitches, but I think I pretty much finished. In fact, I lost myself. Where was I? But we can wrap up, I feel.
Yeah, I see that we have no questions. Will you guys do what? What should we do? How to get first clients? Sure, we can do this on the next show, I suppose. I think it's a whole new different topic.
Yes, it'll take us another show to answer that, Nikhil. You've answered it for yourself. Yes, it is next time.
But maybe
as a self-taught designer without any experience.
Yeah, maybe Nikhil, you can send us actually your experience and where you are at as a self-taught designer. Okay. Maybe you can even drop a link to your portfolio so we can check it out and see where you are at. Does it make sense? So we can kind of make a show based on that, because every designer will be completely different. So it will be different advice if you are in branding, different if you are in packaging, different if you go for the strategy. Depends how your portfolio is kind of presenting. So you can drop the link to your portfolio. If not, we can try to take it out from here. But yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm up for it. But yeah, Nikhil, I don't think we'll be able to answer you right now because yes, this is a little deep question which requires some time for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Let's take it for the next live show.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we
All
can
right, guys. Yes, so I guess we can wrap up. If you guys still have any further follow-up questions, you can probably leave us in the comments below, or you can also just send us DMs on Instagram. And if there is anything that you would also want us to probably have a show on, if something bothers you, just let us know about that as well.
Cool. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you next week.
Yes, and feel free to share this with your friends if you think there is something valuable in this. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
See you.